Hello, I'm here to ask you a favour before we begin this episode. I would really appreciate it if you could vote for Real Life Ghost Stories in the British Podcast Awards. Just go to britishpodcastawards.com/voting to cast your vote. You can vote once per email address and you have to verify your vote via email for it to count. It genuinely takes 30 seconds and you can vote from anywhere in the world. Am I likely to win? No. But do I enjoy turning a look at an event? Yes. And on a genuine note, it is such good free advertising for the podcast to have the name up there. So if you've enjoyed the podcast, if I've kept you company on a long journey, if I lull you to sleep at night with my dulcet tones, I would really appreciate if you could cast a little vote for Real Life Ghost Stories. And also, please do vote for any other indie podcasts that you listen to. The place to vote is britishpodcastawards.com/voting.
Hello. This is Brooke Devard from the Naked Beauty Podcast. We have been talking on the podcast about how sunglasses can change a look. Just putting on the right pair of sunglasses can change up the whole look, the whole vibe, the whole mood. I will tell you, Sunglass Hut has amazing customer service. You can get frames engraved in store. They can switch out lenses and make them prescription for you. They can help you find a gift. I always get amazing service when I go there. So invest in a great pair of shades for every shade of you.
Hey, Prime members, are you tired of ads interfering with your favorite podcasts? Good news! With Amazon Music, you have access to the largest catalog of ad-free top podcasts included with your Prime membership. To start listening, download the Amazon Music app for free or go to amazon.com/ad-free podcasts. That's amazon.com/ad-free podcasts to catch up on the latest episodes without the ads.
Hello and welcome to mini episode 382 of Real Life Ghost Stories, and I have 4 spooky stories for you today, and the last story comes from the 26th of July 2024, and story number 1 comes from Aileen. I've just listened to the episode where Emma said about her brother being taken to the faith healer for the warts around his mouth. I'm Irish too, and I have some stories to tell about my mum bringing us to various healers, etc. Mum's friend would come over for coffee and chit-chat on a Friday night, and if they were bored, one would suggest going to see Mrs. Donnelly in Newry for a bit of crack. They'd call her off the cuff, could be 9 or 10 at night, and she'd say, "Aye, come on up." She used to make a pot of tea with tea bags. She'd give us all a cup, and then we'd be instructed to leave a mouthful at the bottom. At that stage, she'd rip the tea bag and chuck some leaves into our cups, swirl it, use her own finger to move the leaves, then read our futures. You couldn't make it up. We weren't allowed to thank her as that broke the something or other. And you were allowed to donate to her, but she couldn't ask for money. However, the real reason I'm emailing is because of the faith healer, or one of them, that Mum took me to for the eczema in my right ear. Mum found out about this woman. Apparently she was amazing for all dermatological complaints. Mum decided to take me. I think I was in my early teens at the time. I remember the drive was very, very long. Hours of driving so many towns and then lots of narrow, muddy lanes. It felt like the back of beyond. Eventually, we arrived at a field, and in the middle of the field was a crappy caravan. There were mud tracks to the door. Mum drove up. When we went inside, there was an old man in an armchair fast asleep, and the floor around him was covered in cigarette butts. I was disgusted. Think Father Jack Hackett. Anyway, this woman arrived from another room and told me to sit at the table. You know how caravans have the bench seats on 3 sides of the table? Well, anyway, I go in. Then my mum got in. Then the woman got in the other side of me. Essentially, I was trapped between them. The woman burnt some stuff, I don't know what, some herbs maybe, and said some prayer or other. Then she hocked and spat in my ear. I mean thick, mucousy, from the chest phlegm in my ear. I'm not joking. I remember my mum driving out of that field so fast the wheels were spinning. I remember her apologising all the way home. I remember being treated to a Peter Mark haircut to make up for the trauma. My mum never forgot till her dementia started in. We'd laugh about it. Only in the last 20 years or so, as that's how long it took me to forgive. I still have eczema. I enjoyed this story so much. So much. And can I just apologise for my pronunciation of eczema? I know that not everybody says it like that, and some people say eczema, but that's just how I say it. Okay, I'm sorry if it annoys you. I absolutely love the sound of Mrs. Donnelly. Do you know what? Just popping up to Mrs. Donnelly late at night for the crack and she reads her tea leaves. Oh, I just love it. I've actually never met anybody who does tea leaf reading in real life. I know it's a thing, but I didn't realise that there were people out there that were still practicing it, and I love that there are. I also remember hearing growing up that psychics or clairvoyants or whatever couldn't ask for money, so you can give them a gift and you can donate to them, but they can't ask for money. I remember that. I wonder, was that to do with laws and changes in attitudes towards clairvoyants and psychics over the years, that at one point maybe it was illegal for them to trade as a profession, so people gifted them money instead. Anyway, aside from that, I mean, that story is absolutely wild. I love it. Caravan in the middle of a field, fella asleep in the chair, and then she spits in your ear, hocks up a big phlegm and spits in your ear. The word phlegm actually makes me want to die, and I don't know why I keep saying it. That sounds wild. And I love that your apology treat was a Peter Mark haircut to make up for the trauma. Love that. And I wonder, did it ever work for anybody? I mean, it must have, if she had this reputation for being able to cure dermatological ailments. I mean, the big important question is, did your ma pay her? That's what I want to know. And story number 2 comes from Lucy. I have a ghost story for you from Asheville, North Carolina, in the Masonic Temple. It all happened when I sat up in the theatre balcony. The Masonic Temple is in the heart of downtown Asheville, North Carolina, and it's a beautiful old building with a lot of history. Later on, after it no longer served the Masons, it became a hall for weddings and events. The theatre on the second floor is a beautiful space. The stage itself is lined with paper cutouts, hand-painted to look like a forest framing the stage. It's over 100 years old, and there is a beautiful balcony above the stage. The seats are just as old, made from dark wood. This night in particular, my friend's band was playing, and I decided to go and check out the show. I knew the best seats were on the balcony. You get the best view, and I think the sound travels better. So I was sitting by myself, arms resting on the balcony in the front row, watching the musicians. And the music was peaceful and dark and beautiful. It was scenic. I felt like looking at the whole theatre while listening, so I started to let my eyes wander around the room. I could see a few other couples who snuck up to the balcony, and they had been sitting when the show started. And as I turned my head almost all the way to the back, about 4 rows behind me, a bit to the left, out of the corner of my eye, I noticed a man sitting alone. He had brown hair, a white button-down shirt, and a black suit coat. I thought, I don't remember him walking in. I'm going to try and be sneaky and get a better look to see if he's a cutie. So in trying to be coy, I turned to face the musicians for a moment before looking back to really check this guy out. It couldn't have been more than 30 seconds because the same song was still playing, but I turned around and he was gone. I'd never had this feeling before. I thought, holy wow, I just saw something not normal or usual. I didn't know what to think. The thing is, the theatre is old and squeaky, and the seats are original, the swinging door is original, and it creaks. It's pretty common knowledge that if you're up there you have to wait until there's a break in the action, or the whole theatre will hear you sneak to the bathroom or leave to the lobby. I didn't hear this man move, open a door, walk, nothing. But he was gone, just disappeared. It was strange and made the rest of the night a bit of a blur. But the evening ended and I thought about it a little. I got home, got into bed and fell asleep. Sort of dozed off and half forgot about it. The next morning I woke up and remembered this ghost guy and thought, I'm going to Google Asheville Masonic Temple ghosts. If you know me, you know that I love spooky things, so I wanted to see what I could find. And there, maybe the third article down, there was a story of a local well-known ghost hunter who was allowed to spend the night at the temple. In the article, he goes on to explain that while he was scoping everything out after being locked in by himself, he ended up downstairs in an area people usually were not allowed to go to. He was walking down a hall and heard footsteps, and as if someone had dropped a set of keys on the floor. He stopped to turn and look, and standing behind him was a man with brown hair, a white button-down shirt and a black suit coat. He watched the man turn right and disappear. Immediate chills for me. As soon as I finished reading the article, I texted my sister and told her the whole story. I told my whole family, and plenty of my Asheville friends have heard this story about my affectionately nicknamed ghost boyfriend. I wish I'd kept my eyes on him longer that night, just to see if I could have seen more of him. It was so vivid. I wish I knew of the history of the place to know if he had passed in the building or was just a roaming Asheville ghost. I can still remember seeing him out of the corner of my eye in the balcony. He was sitting there enjoying the show. I hope he gets to watch a lot of the shows when they come through. If I get to play there again, I'd love to spot him. It's a romantic idea that maybe he's found a peaceful spot to haunt and watch the beauty with a balcony view. Before we do any chat about this particular story, so Luci goes by Luci Acoustix on Spotify. That's LuciAcoustix. And she has a single out called Little Pumpkin Spice. I'll play a bit of it at the end of this episode, but please go and check it out. It is such a lovely, warm, cozy song for all the Halloween lovers out there. And obviously, as always, the link to the Spotify and to Luci's Instagram are in the description of this episode. And do you know what? If I'm going to haunt somewhere, let it be a theatre. Let me be in the theatre, seeing all the bands, seeing all the shows, seeing all the musicals. Oh, just that's my dream. That's where you're going to find me after I die. That's where I'm going to haunt. How amazing is it though that you went and researched it the next morning and this random ghost hunter guy had the same experience? That's crazy. Or at least not even had the same experience, but saw the same man. How wonderful and validating. And I do think that having a ghost boyfriend in this instance sounds kind of cool, you know? You don't really have to see him, only when you go to see cute theatre shows together. That sounds perfect.
The new Boost Mobile network is offering unlimited talk, text, and data for just $25 a month for life.
That sounds like a threat.
Then how do you think we should say it?
Unlimited talk, text, and data for just $25 a month for the rest of your life?
I don't know.
Until your ultimate demise.
What if we just say forever?
Okay.
$25 a month, forever.
Get unlimited talk, text, and data for just $25 a month with Boost Mobile forever.
After 30 gigabytes, customers may experience slower speeds. Customers will pay $25 a month as long as they remain active on the Boost Unlimited plan.
Hey, Prime members, are you tired of ads interfering with your favorite podcasts? Good news. With Amazon Music, you have access to the largest catalog of ad-free top podcasts included with your Prime membership. To start listening, download the Amazon Music app for free or go to amazon.com/ad-free podcasts. That's amazon.com/ad-free podcasts to catch up on the latest episodes without the ads.
Hello. This is Brooke Devard from the Naked Beauty Podcast. We have been talking on the podcast about how sunglasses can change a look. Just putting on the right pair of sunglasses can change up the whole look, the whole vibe, the whole mood. I will tell you, Sunglass Hut has amazing customer service. You can get frames engraved in store. They can switch out lenses and make them prescription for you. They can help you find a gift. I always get amazing service when I go there. So invest in a great pair of shades for every shade of you.
Millions of people have lost weight with personalized plans from Noom. Like Evan, who can't stand salads and still lost 50 pounds.
Salads generally for most people are the easy button, right? For me, that wasn't an option. I never really was a salad guy. That's just not who I am. But Noom worked for me.
Get your personalized plan today at Noom.com. Real Noom user compensated to provide their story. In 4 weeks, the typical Noom user can expect to lose 1 to 2 pounds per week. Individual results may vary.
And story number 3 comes from Liz. My name is Liz and I'm 37 years old. I love horror and spooky things, but the paranormal has always been almost like a calling to me. I actually see spirits and can also hear them, but I will write in some stories about that soon. For now, I have a time slip story because I know you love those. In Evansville, Indiana, which is about 45 minutes away from my home, they have a horror con every March. It's kind of like a Comic-Con but with horror things. Anyway, my mother and I went to it this March and it was amazing. One of the things they do is a costume contest. We were there about 3 hours or so and decided that we were ready to head to our car outside and go home. And on our way down a very long hallway, we see a family of 4 walking the opposite side of the hall. A mom and dad and 2 kids. One child was dressed as Predator and the other was Alien, and their costumes were awesome. But they had their masks off and they were holding them. As they walked by, we heard the girl, Aileen, tell her parents that she was tired and hungry. And the mom replied, "I know, us too. So let's go to the car and then go and eat on our way home." No big deal, right? Well, about 3 minutes or less later, they walk by again, exactly the same as before, and said the same things again. There's no way to go around, it's a straight hallway, and they had no way to go around somewhere and come back around. And we would have seen them if they did come up behind us. It was so weird. I didn't say anything, not wanting to freak my mom out, but she just turned to me and said, "Did that just happen?" I asked what, and she said that those people just go by twice and say the same thing like it was on repeat. And I told her yes, that I had seen that too. She said that's not real, that couldn't have just happened. I told her that I thought it was a time slip and explained what a time slip was, and she said she didn't like it and it freaked her out, and she was going to pretend it never happened. She still will not talk about it because it messes with her reality. It was weird but oddly a cool experience. I get what you mean about saying like it was a weird but oddly cool experience, but also I am like in your mum's school of thought. Like I'm here for the I'm going to pretend this never fucking happened and let's never discuss it again mentality. How interesting though, and I wonder if anybody else had experienced something similar in that specific corridor. Because I do wonder if time slips are to do with space, as in the physical space that they are in, rather than the actual subjects of the time slip, if that makes sense. Like, is there something in that long straight corridor that makes time slips more likely? And it's such a specific time slip as well to see those 2 kids dressed as Alien and Predator. Very cool costumes, by the way. Props to those parents. Just to hear them having that conversation about being tired and hungry, and then to see it all over again. And to see it at a horror convention, fuck me, that's like the best of both worlds. And even though your mom clearly isn't glad that she witnessed it, I'm glad that your mom witnessed it, so that, you know, you have validation that it really happened and you weren't imagining things or misremembering things. And our final story today comes from Pablo. Just some background history about my life. I was born and raised in Mexico from the age of 1 to 9 years. When I was about 10, we moved to the USA due to running away from corruption and cartel activity and owing money. When we arrived to the US, we had no family at all. My parents drove until our car stopped randomly, and we ended up in a hotel near Las Cruz, New Mexico. And we stayed at a Hotel 6. At about 3 a.m, my dad woke up and told us we had to get in the car and we can sleep as he keeps driving, heading to where home is. I remember getting my plush and getting into the car. We drove for about 2 more hours, and I remember seeing a small circle inside a circle with a green glow that looked like a football standing still. I remember my mother told me, "Son, it's just a plane. Go to sleep until we get to our home." Fast forward to the present day, and my mom said that most likely it was an alien ship, as it followed us until we got to a checkpoint that is military owned, and it stopped following us. She had a photo on her old iPhone, but unfortunately that phone is now gone. When I was about 14 years old, we finally found a house that was small and comfortable. I turned 16 and my sister and brother turned 17. My mom and dad understood that we were getting older and needed our own room and space. So my dad started to build a new room for me in the back of our house. He had help from a man that my mom knew from her babysitting job. He helped with the room about 2 to 4 times a week. Before my dad put the sheetrock on the walls, me, my mom, my dad and my mom's friend Bob added our names with a Sharpie. Fast forward, the room was created and we all fought for who would get it, and we all agreed that I should get it as I was the youngest. About 1 year later, Bob went on a boat ride with his family and ended up falling overboard as he was drunk. The rest of the family did not know what happened till the next day, and he was missing. Ever since that day happened, I see him in my door frame and window as I sleep. We've had my mom and dad's friends come to our home, and they have children who have all said, "Hey, who's that? He seems so sad." We've had many birthday parties which kids would say the same thing. After a while, we asked my mom's friend to come to our home and see if he needs peace, and if he could respectfully leave our home, as it got to the point where I could not sleep. He eventually did leave, and we had not had any more experiences. I've heard stories like this before, like the first story of, lights, strange lights in the sky that chase cars or follow cars, and people can't quite understand what it is that's happening. And there's so many of these stories that have happened all over the world. I can't help but think that there is truth in them, like that people are seeing something, whatever that something is. And like, props to your mom for being like, "Oh, it's just an airplane, you go back asleep and we'll be in our new home soon," because it would probably be very easy to panic in that situation. And as for the story with Bob, it seems like he obviously had a connection to your family and to your house, and that connection continued after he very sadly died. It is amazing to think that the children who were in the house afterwards, various children from birthday parties, etc., were all seeing this same man standing in the doorway. And maybe it's as simple as, you guys meant a lot to him, and therefore he continued to look out for you after he was gone. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. Thank you to Aileen, Luci, Liz and Pablo for sending in your stories. Remember, the last story came from the 26th of July 2024. And if you would like to send in your story, you can do so by emailing it to reallifeghoststoriespodcast@gmail.com. You can also check out the website reallifeghoststoriespodcast.com. And if you are desperate for some extra content, you can subscribe to the Patreon. That is patreon.com/reallifeghoststories, where for $5 a month or $2 a month, you get access to heaps of extra content, as well as every single main and mini episode completely ad-free. And on that note, I shall see you next time.
Ooh, 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 my little pumpkin spice. Ooh, 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 you make me feel so nice. Ooh, 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 you know that I'm your cool. I love you, I love you, I love you. Halloween can be so drab for a creepy little one like me. But for you, I'll give this love a stab. You know there's only one place that I want to be, and that's with you. Ooh, ooh, my little pumpkin spice. Ooh, 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 you make me feel so nice. Ooh, 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 you know that I'm your cool. I love you, I love you, I love you.
Hello. This is Brooke Devard from the Naked Beauty Podcast. We have been talking on the podcast about how sunglasses can change a look. Just putting on the right pair of sunglasses can change up the whole look, the whole vibe, the whole mood. I will tell you, Sunglass Hut has amazing customer service. You can get frames engraved in store. They can switch out lenses and make them prescription for you. They can help you find a gift. I always get amazing service when I go there. So invest in a great pair of shades for every shade of you.